All right, so we're back, and today we kind of start UFC 296 fight week. It's kind of already been started, but as you guys are seeing this, I'm on my way to Orlando, Florida for Jake Paul versus Andre August. I'm gonna be on comms for that, so I wanted to make this video and get it out before I get there. And this one's pretty simple. Today I was sitting here and I'm thinking about fight week, and of course we have the main event, Leon Edwards and Colby Covington. We have the co-main, Alexander Pantoja and Brandon Royval. We have Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, my guy. But the big story going into this card, we all know it, thanks to guys like MMA Guru here on YouTube, is the Ian Garry drop. Quick little recap, if you guys don't know who Ian Garry is, he is 12-0, he's 26 years old, fights in the welterweight division, is married to a lady that's, let's just say, been around the MMA scene, a little bit older than him, and by a little bit, I mean a lot. She's 40, he's 26, kind of weird. They have a kid. But also, he took her last name as his middle name, now Machado. The ex-husband lives with him and also has a kid with the ex-wife, kind of doesn't. The ex-wife has also been seen in the DMs of many MMA fighters. It's a big drama show. And also, the ex-wife does seem to kind of puppeteer the young lad. And whether it's his media interactions or his interactions with other fighters, telling him in different cases to fight Khamzat Chimaev in an elevator while he was in there with his missus, calling him a pussy for not doing it. This one's not as bad, but spearheading the sales campaign of a mugshot of a potential opponent in Jeff Neal on a t-shirt, which they sold on Instagram. Again, the wife kind of set that up and led the march on that. And also, Ian Garry straight up said Neil Magny abused his kids for saying that he whipped them or spanked them. That one was a little crazy. But now all those things for a young guy at 26 years old, again, Irish lad, trying to emulate Conor McGregor, looked up to Conor McGregor, trying to be that sort of brash, talking out of his ass, but also backing it up personality. It's all come back to haunt him a little bit, because shout out to YouTubers like MMA Guru who started to kind of poke at the inconsistencies and the hypocrisy of a guy like Ian Garry, and potentially how he even is being manipulated by his wife and some other things surrounding that. He's coming into this fight week with a massive opportunity, which is why I say this is a make or break fight for him, because his opponent brings up another odd aspect of Ian Garry and his wife, Vicente Luque. That's a former sparring partner of Ian Garry. And even Vicente Luque, one of the nicest guys in the sport, Ian Garry still can't resist the urge to troll by essentially calling himself God under a picture of Vicente Luque getting baptized. Like I said, they're former training partners. Again, this is where another problem comes in. Ian Garry has been talked about by the likes of Leon Edwards and Sean Brady and others who have shared the gym with him, talking about how odd it is when he comes into the gym. There's a bit of a broken code when Ian Garry walks in and has all these cameras and people watching and looking almost for a highlight, a clip off of one of his own teammates, and that's not great gym etiquette for any combat sport. In fact, that's the #1 unwritten rule. You don't talk about sparring, you don't film sparring, you definitely don't release footage of it.
So Ian Garry was a guy who trained here with you guys up until a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I believe he's kind of been told he can't come and train here now because he's in your weight division.
That wasn't the reason. That's the reason he said.
Okay.
That wasn't the reason. There's a culture in the gym that we're trying to build. Even though I'm a world champion, I still abide by the same rules as the amateur.
So again, 26 years old, brash, great fighter, but something off about Ian Garry. And none of it matters if he can ascend to the top of the sport. In fact, if he can do that while all this stuff's going on, I'll give Ian Garry all the credit as a fighter, but this week in particular is going to be hell for Ian Garry. Think about all the dominoes that are lining up right now. The fact that the wife's story, the fact that Ian Garry is literally eating crow for the things that he said about other people, calling everyone, including a guy like Sean Strickland, the middleweight champ, who has zero filter, that talks about his personal life, haters, and threatening them with some sort of lawsuit. Fighting a guy now that's a former sparring partner. Again, that we know Ian Garry doesn't have the best relationships even in the own gyms he participates in, and it's been kicked out of a couple of gyms for this reason, all while being on the undercard of one of the most brash shit talkers in the world, in Colby Chaos Covington, who also is in the same division that Ian Garry is. This fight week is going to make or break Ian Garry. That's it. Like, this is going to be the thing that either shows an elevation of character, fight ability, and being able to handle pressure, right? Being able to be mentally strong, or he's going to absolutely crumble. Because I don't know if I remember all these things converging at once against a fighter in the way it's happening for Ian Garry. And he's not even in the main event, right? He's just on a big card. But I would say just the fight week itself may be harder than the actual fight. Like, no disrespect to Vicente Luque, but he's 32 now. He's been in the game for a long time. When it comes to what both fighters are good at, both are great strikers. Ian Garry a little bit better, at least from what I've seen. But the main point here is the hardest part about this this fight may not even be the fight. It's just the fight week getting up to it. Every question that he's going to be asked all week, starting as you guys see this video probably. Every interaction he has with fighters, I don't even know if he should show up to the fucking press conference, because that's going to be either show up and say nothing or don't show up at all, because it's going to be absolute verbal assault from all angles. Leon probably giving it to him. Colby probably giving it to him. Questions from the media. Who knows? Tony Ferguson might jump in that bitch. I don't know. Like, it's gonna be bad. And he's trying to make weight on top of that. This will be the most trying week to this point of Ian Garry's career. And you wonder, at 26 years old, with the mental capacity that he has, it's very odd. You hear stories about him losing his temper over elderly women not saying thank you, that he holds doors open for them. A guy that does seem at least a bit mentally fragile. Is this the point where it cracks? Because again, with everything he said, it's all coming home to roost in one fucking grandma's cooking, straight out the oven, humble pie. I don't know if he's going to be able to handle it. If anything, this will be a lesson for Ian Garry. Whether he wins or loses this fight, just the fight week in general will teach Ian Garry to maybe back off on the personal jabs and insults at other fighters when his own moral compass is flipped and shines a light on who he is and who he associates with. So that's all I want to say, guys. I know these are videos that aren't necessarily normal for the channel, but I'm going to make them more normal. I'm kind of honestly just tired of the influencer boxing scene right now, and I'd rather get into more pro MMA, pro boxing content. And I'm sure there'll still be some influencer stuff there. It's just, as of right now, I'm kind of burnt out on it. So I want to start covering this stuff. I'm more excited about it. You guys let me know what you think down below. I will be live for UFC 296 this Saturday, 5 p.m. PST or something like that. But I will see you guys then. What happens with Ian Garry this fight week? Is this make or break, not only for his career, but for his psyche? I don't have those answers, but I guess we'll find out.